This is TempleOS. It's a 64-bit PC operating system. It has an oracle. That's why it's called TempleOS. The main purpose is for doing offerings and of hymns and art and poems and stuff, and then getting a response from God in the oracle. After Egypt, this is after they left Egypt, before they got to the Promised Land. It's just a fun little game that well, anyway, you go up the mountain to talk to God. This is serious. I'm going to praise God for vines. You get out of God what you put in. So anyway, so this is a high-speed stopwatch for generating random numbers. Basically, it's tongues. When you get a spirit to speak, that's tongues. Or you could use a Ouija board. You can just randomly crack open a book. But I use a high-speed stopwatch. So proceeding forgetteth healthful, gain wealth, innocent way, wives meet, sellers me, example, stiff, mystically strict listing. Anyway, so interpretation is tricky. I do comics as offerings. We saw a treasure ship on the bottom of the Red Sea. Can you part it again? The Egyptians saw it too. So anyway, it includes a 64-bit kernel. It's public domain, 100% open source. It's got a 64-bit compiler and an assembler. It's got a language that's like C, C++, but got improvements called Holy C. It works just in time or ahead of time. It's got no crufty 32-bit code. It's 640 by 480. That's what God said, VGA. It's got keyboard, mouse, PS2. It's got hard drive support for FAT32 and Red Sea file systems. Red Sea is a native file system that's proprietary. It's got CD, DVD support, ISO 9660. You can make ISO image files. Anyway, it's got partitioning and bootloaders. It's got an editor browser. It's got a document format that's like extended ASCII with graphics and links and trees. You can make your source code have links and trees and stuff. It's got 8-bit ASCII instead of just 7-bit, so I call it 8-bit. It's IBM PC screen codes, so you can use those European accents and stuff, and you can use Greek symbols. It's got graphics and source code. It's got 64-bit pointers. It's ring 0 only. It's identity mapped, so it's easy to do inter-process communication. It's got multi-core support. You can do it's master-slave, not SMP. That's better for real time. Anyway, it's got 2D, 3D graphics library. It's got a differential equation solver, physics engine. It's got an autocomplete that will help navigate, jump to source code, and complete symbols. It's got a window manager. You can hit Control-Alt-Z to zoom in on the cursor anytime, any place. Control-Alt-Shift-Z. You can pan anytime, any place with controlled left mouse. It's got a file manager, Control-D. If you want to do your development work, you can use a file manager for development work. I'm going to navigate down to this ASCII file, hit spacebar, then F5, and now I can type some. It's making ASCII frequency. It's making frequencies based on the ASCII code. Anyway, so it's got a profiler, a merge, a diff. It's got a heap check, a heap log. It's got PC speaker support. These are some of my hymns that I did as offerings. You can get some help from God making melodies. Anyway, it's got a music composing tool. It's got games. It's got a bunch of demos. Like you can. It'll teach you how to use the API. It's good for learning programming. This is a really simple program that's good for beginners. It's got like 100 demos. Documentation, you hit F1 and you can go to the documentation. It's got all the API functions broken down by category. All sources included. It's like 130,000 lines, and it's mostly command line driven. So you can say 1 plus 34, and it says 35. You can make a it's not like Unix and DOS. It's a Holy C interpreter. So if I can say I can enter code at the command line. So I'm compiling a function just in time. So for I equals 1, semicolon I, less than or equal to n, semicolon I, plus, plus. Now print statements are, if it encounters a string by itself, it's a print statement. We can unassemble this, unassemble. This is like unassemble function. So there, it's 64-bit machine code. It's using register variables. I can say count to 10. I can say count, benchmark this. It's faster than any other operating system. I'm going to do a count to 1,000,000. 1, 1,000, 2, 1,000, 3, 1,000. Anyway, so you hit Control M, you get to your menu. We're going to go look at the games directory. You can see it typed CD and then dir. If you don't have arguments, you don't need parentheses for functions. Anyway, so we're going to check out rocket science. Coefficient for the rocket feedback. So here's the first-person shooter. It's got graphics and source code. God said they're dancing. Anyway, so there's a potted plant. Anyway, so Control M gets to the menu. So the icons are just macros that have a payload. So this, you can imagine, this just calls the. This is the Eagle diving for fish flight simulator. I'm having to write 8 frames a second to the disk and 30 frames a second to the screen. So you're seeing 8 frames a second, but I'm seeing 30 frames a second. Anyway, so that ought to get you started.